Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Are You Spending Too Much on QA? My name is Donna Banks, and I am the Senior Marketing Manager for Cincom's Customer Experience Management Solution, your host for today's webinar. Before today's presenter, I need to address a few housekeeping items. The webinar is scheduled for 60 minutes with 45 to 50 minutes of presentation and 15 minutes of Q&A. In order to keep disruptions to a minimum, we ask that anyone who is using a speakerphone, please hit your mute button. If you ask a question at any time during the presentation, please type your question in the chat area located in the lower right of your screen and send it to host. We will allow the questions throughout the webinar and then try to get to as many as we can at the end of the session, time permitting. In today's webinar, I would like to introduce our speaker. Brian Flagg has 31 years of IT industry experience, including transforming and leading global contact centers for IBM and Target, as well as managing many large technical support contact centers for Fortune 500 companies. He is extensively on support center excellence and is recognized for his thought leadership. He currently manages business development for Cincom's Customer Experience Management Solution. At this time, please welcome Brian Flagg.
Thank you much, Donna. Welcome to all the webinar participants. We have an engaging and perhaps somewhat provocative webinar lined up for you today. The top provocative question: how do you answer it? Have you large sums on call center and screen recording equipment, and perhaps on voice analytics? IT personnel who are only able to review a minuscule number of the contacts you receive and need to recalibrate to ensure accurate scores? Accurate scores and better scores, leading to more quality in your interactions. How many days have you had before they hung up? Dissatisfied. What I'm going to do today is a little bit of the evolution of quality management. Measuring quality management, quality in the contact center today, and how to do so in the future. I'm going to talk about smarter interactions, call channels, then a demo, and then I mentioned we'll have Q&A. Follow the demo for the 5 to 15 minutes of the webinar. First, I want to talk to you about evolution of quality management, where we started. Actually, this was a long way back, prior to the Industrial Revolution. Craftsmen created products, and being expert in their respective crafts, were solely responsible for the quality of their production. That poor quality would cost the craftsmen their livelihood. Industrial Revolution, machinery and specialization of tasks were up to a relatively illiterate workforce to produce large quantities of goods. Producing the goods no longer had any expertise on the production of the end product, let alone even understand how their particular function contributed to the production of the end product. Those produced products could no longer assess the quality of the production as had been done before in the past by skilled craftsmen. As one of the workers would be given the title of inspector, with the sole task of inspecting the final product. However, inspectors typically lack training, were coerced into accepting defective product in order to increase output, and the good inspectors were frequently moved into managerial or planning roles. As a result, the Quality Control Department emerged, a separate and distinct function from the manufacturing function, and the function as well. Quality control slowly evolved to inspection of sub-assemblies at various points in the manufacturing process, in addition to inspection at the end of the production line. This needed improvement as products became increasingly complex, and inspection at the end of the line could no longer determine the failing component. Fast-forwarding several decades, by the end of World War II, Japan's manufacturing capability was virtually destroyed. Previously, Japan had a reputation of producing low-quality imitation products and to change this with the help of leading quality thinkers such as Deming, Uray, and Feigenbaum. Throughout the 1950s, quality programs and practices in Japan developed rapidly and became a national preoccupation. Quality was built into the organization from the ground up and from the top down. Finally, in the 70s, exports to the U.S. and Western Europe increased significantly, and the surprising level of quality in the products caught manufacturers here totally unprepared. We are still inspecting defects rather than quality. In Western Europe, companies fought back in the 1980s. Programs such as QIBP, or Quality in the Business Process, DFM, Design for Manufacturability, and finally ISO 9000 and the Baldrige National Quality Program came to fruition in the culmination into TQM, or Total Quality Management. Manufacturing recognized and made the transformation from the Quality Control Department, the entity charged with infusing quality into the product and then inspecting for it, to that Total Quality Management System, designing the organization and processes for quality with support of the entire organization. Now you might ask what all that has to do with the contact center industry. Where's the contact center industry in all of this today in terms of our quality management? Well, I submit that contact centers have spent and are continuing to spend significant amounts on their QA functions in terms of capital, hardware, software, resources such as training, calibration, listening, reviewing, and coaching. The vast majority of these assets are deployed in the task of analyzing for and discovering defects at the end of the line, or the end of the interaction process in contact center terms, sometimes days or weeks after the interaction has occurred. Any inspection directed at immediate points in the interaction process is done by a supervisor plugging and listening to the call. So, where are we in the quality journey? Well, we are recording, and you saw the type of recording we're not doing. We're actually recording on the recording equipment. And there's a large amount of time now that lapses between when the defects are created and when they're finally seen and when they're finally detected. And any inspection directed at intermediate points in the interaction process is done by a supervisor plugging into the call, following an ad hoc or judgment-led decision to do so. Contact center leader, you already have a company-wide TQM program that is implemented into your center, which means that you have quality measures for your forecasting process, such as forecast accuracy, quality measures for your knowledge management process, so the number of knowledge not found entries in your tickets, and quality measures for your calls, and bet you have many of these. You can have a quality measure for your training, and perhaps even for your coaching. Now, at this point, congratulations. You have understood that quality is much more than just post-call inspection. If you're to this point, because you have some work to do. And again, to this point, I suggest you begin with ISO 9000 and get your processes understood and documented. And here's both quality and cycle time understood as well. I also suggest building a strategy map to understand the 4 perspectives of your contact center organization. And then you go through an internal Baldrige assessment. If you know much about these tools, search online for Kaplan and Norton's strategy maps, containing past Harvard Business Review periodical, and online for the Baldrige National Quality Award. You will find a lot of documentation about these sources. Unless a significant TQM program implemented and ingrained into your center, and the way if you do, I would assume you're not listening to this webinar, then the standpoint of quality in the interaction, which is, by the way, is your product. The interaction is your product. You're at the turn of the 20th century in your quality thinking. You're acting in interaction after the fact to find defects. Worse, however, is the fact that your customer is part of the production process. Where a defective chair or toaster can be caught before it leaves the plant and gets into the hands of your customer. Not so with your product. Inspection manufacturing is meant to keep a defective product from getting into the hands of their customer, protecting customer satisfaction, loyalty, and brand image. Inspection is a bar, so to speak. In your case, the bar is open as soon as the call is connected with your phone switch. That means the IVR is part of your interaction process that also needs quality monitoring and management. When you have poor quality interaction in your center, the customer is affected at the time of the defect, not days later when the defect is discovered during an auditing or QA process. When the afternoon is not the time to discover you had a poor quality interaction with one of your best customers Monday morning. It places the center and the company into customer-saving mode, where costly remediation may be necessary to win back the offended customers. I hope this is not where you are today, with your bar open and efforts for quality limited to after the interaction inspection. Outside, fit wonder the ROI of social media and their social media efforts. If your center is focused on QA or inspection at the end of the interaction, social media can detect the defect much faster than your QA function. If your best customer had a poor enough interaction on Monday morning to consider not calling again and outlets his or her frustration on a social media site, it would be on Monday morning, not later in the week. So as learner is going to focus on after the interaction QA, you put your ear to the social media ground. So quality focus be brought inside the interaction. Well, by designing quality into the interaction and then enforcing it. And what does quality designed interaction mean? How is it accomplished? Well, it's your existing QA process. The QA process is meant to analyze an interaction with respect to a number of dimensions, such as engagement and connection, efficiency in the interaction flow, adherence to security controls, the knowledge system, etc. Your QA process is enforcing an ideal interaction. After the fact, you get the components of an ideal interaction them into your training program and into your QA coaching program. Your understanding of the ideal interaction into the gray matter of your agents and supervisors. But you put a great deal of other matter into material into the gray matter of your agents. And on any given interaction, some of the gray matter will be used, some not. During the call, the agent must be proficient on a number of different applications, each with its own cumbersome interface, understand how to remain HIPAA or PCI compliant, and search the right knowledge source for the information. What's the likelihood that the interaction delivered will be one that's designed? Can TQM really be applied to the contact center? Can quality control be applied across all channels, even self-service? The short answer to these questions is an emphatic yes. I'll bring you the best approach to guiding agents to deliver the interaction you have designed and intended, and the customer is expecting. We call it smarter interaction. interactions, creating value-packed, transformational interactions. I'll talk to you about scripting. Scripting has been around for a long time in the contact center. It can enforce quality to some extent in the interactions. However, it falls short on a number of fronts. The principle is feeling like you're speaking to a robot or an automaton. The ability for that scripting to handle exceptions. When the person on the other end of the phone is reading from a script, I would call enjoyable or satisfying at all, even though they pass quality inspection as being technically accurate. Scripted from the flow of the action to the words to be spoken. The problem is, might as well be interacting with the IVR. I've had more pleasant experiences with an IVR than a scripted phone call. There's no engagement with me as a person, no emotion in the words. The problem is one of having a set script. If I deviate from the script, it either tries to bring me back to the script, to annoys me, or transfers me to somebody else. Scripting is a simple and rudimentary method to infuse quality into an interaction, although clearly not the best approach. There are scripting systems, conditional scripting, which use if-then-else branching, or bring some decision-making into the interaction in order to handle exceptions or other changes to the standard direction of the script. For example, if I call with a billing problem and it turns into a payment problem, conditional scripting can help transfer the flow from billing to credit. So the scripting is still rigid, allowing the words to be spoken. Conditional scripting is not much better. Let me map metaphor, if I will. Simple thing is like driving, based on a written set of directions. You know what is written and have no idea how to adjust if conditions change during the interaction. Conditional scripting is like driving using a map or as maps. You have a static view of the route, but decisions as to change out should conditions change during the interaction. Road closed due to construction. With a map, whether from an atlas, or printed from Google or Bing Maps or MapQuest, for example, where the map is as only good as the date and time of its printing, the road closure will not be depicted and will require your judgment to figure out how to navigate around it. What it means is that, once again, the scripting is static, not bring data from the applications and knowledge sources during interaction. Script inform the agent to go to the billing application and type in the customer contact preference or the billing internet site for use of execution. But the scripting or conditional scripting won't guide the agent to the right screen, automatically fill in available information, and won't dynamically adjust based on information obtained during the interaction. For this, guidance is needed. And such to a familiar metaphor, the desk system, or this is used to function just as a label infers, to guide an agent from the current place in the interaction to the next best place in the interaction. Just as GPS guides the driver to the next best place along his route from point A to point B. By information from back-end systems and marry that information with what is obtained during the interaction, the agent guided to the next screen and to the next best point in the interaction. The agent will also be guided with the right words to be spoken, but guided to the right screen and the right knowledge for the customer in the interaction, there's less of a need to place words into the agent's mouth. Instead, concentrate on soft skills of empathy and engagement. The interaction that follows the design is technically accurate, engaging, and customer-centric. The rest for your agents can be extended to your other channels, such as chat and email. Chat is nothing more than a phone call with written words instead of vocal utterances, and actually guidance is therefore much easier to apply. Email is similar to chat, but just occurs over a longer period of time. The reason why guidance should not be applied in these channels as well. Face, such as occurs in a field service interaction or customer service counter, can also be designed and guided. All they're simply an extension of the phone interaction. What about self-service? Actions be designed and guided there? Absolutely. Web designers attempt to make this happen, attempt to guide customers to a successful service interaction, or sale, or both. But the land and shopping carts tells a story that the designs are not effective. The same technology that is guiding your agents can also guide your customer. TQM, or Total Quality Management, was developed in the manufacturing industry decades ago and moves companies from inspection at the line to a quality framework that permeates and guides the entire organization. The same quality focus must also permeate the contact center organization, having quality forecasting, knowledge management, training, and coaching processes. ISO 9000 and Baldrige quality assessments can help in this area. However, these techniques and methods will not drive quality into the interactions. Quality must not only be designed into the interactions, but using guidance and force. Scripting and conditional scripting are rudimentary approaches to delivering this quality with interaction, but that's the problem of too many tools, too much information, and thus necessarily provide the agent with hard-cut scripts to be read during the interaction, leading to less than satisfying interaction. To overcome these shortcomings can not only be applied to incoming phone calls, but can be extended to chats, email, face-to-face, and even self-service. Syncom's industry-leading dynamic guidance drives value-packed, transformational interactions that are personalized, accurate, engaging, and can cross channels, so that an interaction begun in one channel, say on the phone, can be continued in a retail setting right as left off. At this point, before we get into questions, I'm going to go into a brief demo, some screens, and basically give you a flow and a feel for how the product works. Demonstration shows a fictional company, UCare, and from a disclaimer standpoint, any reference to a non-functional or non-fictional company called UCare is strictly unintended. This is was designed for any company in particular, and again, UCare is a fictional healthcare company. Shown before you is the initial screen for Synchrony, Syncom's customer experience management guidance product. You'll see it's very dynamic, very contextualized for the agent. This is absolutely changeable and malleable, and really, given the portlets, virtually any information can be put on this first screen, this top-level screen for the agents. So assume I go ready, and a screen pop comes, an incoming call has come in. It's from a customer called Mr. Doe. C has come through and told that Mr. Doe is calling because he needs new ID cards. And so I put something for my agent, which is dynamic, taking information from the CTA interaction. So I can say, hello, Mr. Doe. Thank you for calling UCare. My name is Colin Hambley, so it knows who I am as the agent. I understand you're interested in obtaining new ID cards. Is that correct? This dynamic scripting. This script is built and built back-end information and other information we gathered from CTI. See the Great Connections box, which also gives just a little bit of understanding, a little bit of context around our training that we've received, and just a little bit of coaching for the agent. Box below, you'll see how this customer has been satisfied by these functions with the company, whether it's enrollment, claims, prescriptions, call center, physicians, hospitals, etc. You'll also see above the phone keypad customer advocacy, showing the value of this customer to the organization and a level of this customer's advocacy that he's displayed in the past. Now need to ask a couple of questions. Again, this is all built dynamically, where I need to confirm some information before I'm able to proceed. According to our business rules, we need only 2 pieces of information here to be correct before we proceed. So the first piece of information, the member ID, we click yes. We can confirm digits of the Social Security number. We've moved from identified to authenticated right above the telephone keypad, and we've got a continue button. That's up and allows me to take the next step. All information about the call, about the reason for the call, is all filled in automatically for us into the ticket. Then guided, the agent is then guided to get the address and make sure that address is correct. Again, it's pulled from a database dynamically, and so the agent has that information in front of them. And a map, Google Map or Bing Map comes up below, and with a question, do you want your new ID cards mailed to that address? And from the phone, Mr. Doe says yes. Next, we pull some additional information. We now know that Mr. Doe has medical, dental, and vision care. We could then ask him some additional questions. If his dependents require that care prior to receiving the cards, we're giving him additional information, and Mr. Doe is then satisfied with what we've given him, and we ask what else we can help with. And at this point, Mr. Doe is interested in providers and finding a provider in his area. So, of course, we can assist with doing that. We know the program he's on is self-funded standard because we pulled that in from our VAN system. He's looking for a physician, so we select physician. Of provider specialty, he's looking for a general practitioner. We fill that in. We continue. And go into the back-end system and bring up all of the general practitioners in reasonable proximity to Mr. Doe's home. We can get these off. Mr. Doe decides he wants to go with Mr. Dobson because he's seen him before. And then we can pull information about the Mr. Dobson's practice, his address. We know from application that his office is 4.6 miles away, about 11 minutes away. We've mapped out on their map in front of us, and we're asking Dobson or Mr. Doe if he'd like Mr. Dobson's telephone number and driving directions. And Mr. Doe indicates that he'd like that. We're then guided to the next screen and the next point in the interaction. We're into the telephone number and direction to the office. I'd like to provide details of the current health care plan, explanation of coverages, deductibles, etc. And we his address, his email address, are pulled up and ask if he'd like to email that information. And Mr. Doe says, yes, I'd like to receive that information. And so we, at this point, build a customer document for Joe, personalized according to his plan, personalized according to the provider he's chosen, and the directions for the provider he's chosen. If I click yes to build customer documents, and you can see a personalized document specifically for John Doe, providing recent details of his call to the customer service center, his coverages and deductibles, contact information for Dr. Dobson, and driving directions. To Dobson's office, all built dynamically from the interaction. With Mr. Doe, what the document contains, ask if there's anything else we can help with. Mr. Doe says, well, I want to understand my eligibility. This is a rather ugly screen. You may recognize it as a host backend system, an older application. This shows integration capability with Synchrony that we can pull in applications from virtually anywhere. We could well have created a better, more friendly looking screen and simply grab this data and put it into a more friendly looking, but just wanted to show the integration capabilities of the Synchrony product. And we go back to anything else we can help you with, Mr. Doe. He says no. But before we call, we want to update our data. We want to update our satisfaction in terms of the caller and our customer advocacy. So if you would like to provide some feedback prior to ending the call, this indicates he would. We just on a customer experience scale, 0 to 10, 10 being highest. How sad have you been today? He tells us been set to a level of 7 out of 10. And you'll see below, when we choose that 7 out of 10, our green line up in our call center, from below expectation to meets expectations. We ask about customer advocacy. Scale 1 to 10, how likely is it that you would recommend our company to a friend or colleague? Joe's pretty satisfied at this point. Chooses 8. You'll immediately notice the customer advocacy moving. We'd like to add any more notes, comments to his experience today that will be sent to the management team. He indicates that he would. And a screen for customer comments. Hopefully what you've seen in this demonstration is an agent that is guided from step to step, only seeing screens, only seeing data that's needed for that point in the interaction. Very little typing that the agent has had to do, therefore handle time in making the flow of the conversation much more engaging with the caller rather than spending time typing. You'll note on this screen that we grab all of the activity notes. Everything about that interaction is automatically stored in the action record. Again, it allows for auditing and going back later to understand what happened during that call, but it hasn't had to type any of this in. It's all been automatically built into the interaction record. We have a time monitor that's available also with Synchrony, in addition to some business intelligence tools. So as you handle all your interactions during a month, and at the end of the month, we've got a very strong set of analytical tools, reports that will give you a good understanding of what's happened in your center, and real-time monitor to monitor in a real-time fashion, whether it's a supervisor or your traffic desk, what's going on in the call center. And just an example of one of the real-time monitor screens. I am now switch back over to and questions.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone that if you do have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat area located on the right-hand side of your screen. We don't have any questions, so on behalf of Syncom, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar, and also a big thank you to Brian for expertise and insight today. We hope that everyone found content enlightening. If you'd like more information or if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Brian Flagg at the phone number or email displayed on the screen, or feel free to visit us on our website at synchrony.syncom.com. Thanks for joining us. Nice day.